Enough is enough. You know, at some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected. And that is certainly the case with the way things around Caitlin Clark are officiated. This is a constant problem now. You know, it is something that since the beginning, I've kind of backed off on because physical play is a part of sports. You know, going after a superstar and trying to rough them up a little bit to get in their head is a part of sports. But when it crosses the line, the referees need to do their jobs. They need to do their jobs, blow the whistle, and officiate properly. Hand out flagrants, kick people out of games, nip it in the bud.
I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so it's all good.
So we will take all media questions today, but we're just supposed to read from a script, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. On behalf of my teammates and every member of our union, I want to be very clear that we remain committed to negotiating the next CBA with the league and the teams in good faith and privately. But we do want to set the record straight, not for the headlines, but for the fans who support us and deserve transparency. What's at stake? This is a defining moment in the WNBA. As the league grows, it's time for the CBA that reflects our true value. We are fighting for a fair share of business that we built because it is a business. We are fighting for anything. We are not fighting for anything that's unreasonable.
In fact, she gets a technical foul after getting poked in the eye and then shoved to the floor, and Marina Mabrey doesn't even get thrown out of the game. It's basically open season on Caitlin Clark, and the special whistle that she supposedly gets goes in the other direction. Flagrantly so. They got to put it to an end. I mean, she's the most valuable player in the league in the most literal sense. And somehow she gets the opposite of superstar treatment. And that's what you saw with the Connecticut Sun and Indiana Fever. The Fever won the game. Of course they won the game. Of course they won the game. They're better.
The revolution has begun in the WNBA, and Sophie Cunningham is unequivocally leading the charge. The simmering outrage from fans demanding justice and protection for Caitlin Clark has finally reached a deafening crescendo. And now, the unthinkable, the unprecedented, is reportedly happening. Legal action is being pursued against the very referees who have systematically, game after game, failed to protect the WNBA's biggest star from targeted harassment and blatant on-court assaults. What we're witnessing isn't just basketball anymore, folks. It's a complete and utter breakdown of professional integrity. A crisis so profound, it has finally pushed someone to stand up and scream, "Enough is enough."
Caitlin Clark got destroyed. Her girl Sophie came to her defense, and this was the most beast mode thing that I've seen a woman do in WNBA history. Now watch this, what they did to Caitlin Clark, and then we're gonna play the clip of Sophie Cunningham. Roll the clip.
I mean, is that displacement? I think it is.
Oh, and Marina Mabrey's going to get ejected. If the officials saw that, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected.
Well, they're going to go and look at it. Look at Mabrey. She's got a scar on one side, scratch on one side of her face, a scratch on the other side. It's not from the game today. I asked her about it. She's always in the mix. There's a lot of contact here.
This isn't just about one hard foul or a single missed call. As Sophie Cunningham herself so powerfully articulated, I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a buildup for a couple years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so, at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. Her statement, delivered with the conviction of someone who has seen too much, underscores a deeply troubling pattern. It's a pattern where the league's most valuable asset, Caitlin Clark, is treated less like a superstar and more like a human punching bag, while officials often appear to turn a blind eye, or, worse, penalize the victim.
All ain't really tapped in, because Sophie Cunningham been crashed out. She been popping it, overly. They been saying she wasn't all her hair, and I knew this, y'all. I ain't gonna lie, y'all lucky she wasn't in the game when it happened. Y'all lucky she wasn't in the game, because Marina Mabrey would have got the pause for real. I ain't gonna lie, the girl, I don't even know the little girl that got in the clinch. I ain't gonna lie, she did her dirty. I was just waiting for the knees. I was waiting for the high knees. Because they said she was a black belt. I didn't know she was a black belt, but I knew she was a popper. I knew she was with all the smoke. She ain't never ducking no smoke ever.
The breaking point, the moment that seemingly ignited this firestorm, and potentially propelled Cunningham towards this groundbreaking legal action was that explosive Tuesday night game between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun. It was yet another chapter in the ongoing ugly saga of Caitlin Clark being physically battered on the court. We saw J.C. Sheldon of the Sun deliberately poke Clark in the eye. We saw Marina Mabrey, with no basketball justification whatsoever, shove Clark to the ground from behind while she was still recoiling from the initial injury. And then, in a display of officiating so baffling it defies belief, the referees somehow managed to assess Caitlin Clark with a technical foul for what they deemed unsportsmanlike conduct. Let that sink in. The player who was the victim of multiple assaults in a single play gets penalized, while her attackers initially walked away with minimal, almost laughable consequences. It's open season on Caitlin Clark, and the supposed special whistle she gets only seems to blow in the other direction, often flagrantly.
Are we even surprised about this? Sophie Cunningham's jersey sales just passed Caitlin Clark's after she goes viral overnight for protecting Caitlin Clark in a game where she got fined $400, which Caitlin Clark apparently is paying for. But yeah, we found our new queen at Indiana.
But this time, something different happened. This time, Caitlin Clark had an enforcer, a teammate willing to risk everything to send a message that this abuse would no longer be tolerated. Sophie Cunningham, having witnessed this pattern repeat itself game after game, week after week, finally decided enough was enough. With just 46 seconds left on the clock, when Sheldon made a steal and was heading for what should have been an easy layup, Cunningham delivered a hard, decisive foul. A move that led to her ejection, but resonated far beyond the confines of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. It was a clear, unambiguous statement. No more free shots at Clark. Y'all ain't really tapped in? One viral commentator noted, "'Cause Sophie Cunningham been a crash out. She been popping it." The internet exploded.
The Fever saw it coming. They went and got Sophie Cunningham, 6-year-old black belt. This is what the Bulls did with Charles Oakley to protect Michael Jordan. Watch the retaliation later by Sophie Cunningham. And again, this is inappropriate, right? No, it's what happens in basketball.
What happened next was unprecedented in WNBA history. Within 24 hours, Sophie Cunningham's social media following skyrocketed. She went from having fewer than 400,000 followers on TikToks to over 1.2 million. Her Instagram following grew by more than 700,000. Fans weren't just supporting her, they were celebrating her, calling her the Enforcer, Sophie AG, buying out her jerseys until they were completely sold out, listed as unavailable until weeks later. This wasn't just fleeting viral fame, this was a powerful cultural moment, a visceral reaction that revealed just how desperate fans were for someone, anyone, to finally stand up and protect Caitlin Clark from what they see as relentless, unfair targeting. Even the $400 fine Cunningham received, which Clark reportedly offered to pay, became a badge of honor.
The WNBA refs are the worst. They really are the worst in the WNBA. Some of these women's refs, I don't know if you feel this way, Angel, but they have a long way to go.
It's been like that for a while. I don't know what it is. It's like, if they go to ref school, I don't understand.
They're going to the Phoenix University of ref schools. They're going to DeVry. Yeah, bro.
And here's what makes Cunningham's reported legal action so groundbreaking and potentially transformative. She's not just complaining about bad calls. She's allegedly suing WNBA referees for negligence, for their consistent, systematic failure to protect a teammate from documented, targeted harassment. This isn't just about one game or one incident. It's about years of frustration boiling over, challenging a system that many believe is fundamentally broken. She's risking her career to hold officials accountable, a move that could send shockwaves through professional sports. This groundbreaking case could set a precedent, making sports officials personally liable for failing to safeguard players.
Caitlin Clark is a really hard player to officiate, much like Diana Taurasi was throughout the course of her career, for a couple of reasons. Caitlin Clark regularly gets picked up in the full court. She also gets blitzed more over the course of her career than any player in WNBA history or in that period of time. And she also creates some contact herself on the offensive end of the floor. She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA, and all of them said it needs to get better. Specifically, the consistency, not only from one game to the next, but the consistency within a game. One coach told me, we tell our players to be as physical as they can possibly be for 40 minutes because we know for 38 of them, they're pretty much going to get away with it. So I think
the numbers don't lie about Clark's impact, which makes the league's alleged failure to protect her even more egregious. Fever games with Clark average over 16,000 fans, an 88% increase compared to non-Fever games. Her road games boost opposing teams' attendance by a staggering 87%. She drives 33.5% of the total WNBA attendance. Television ratings for games featuring Clark are nearly 3 times higher than other WNBA games. The Seattle Storm, Los Angeles Sparks, and Washington Mystics all saw attendance increases of over 100% when Clark came to town. This isn't just a star player. This is a once-in-a-generation phenomenon who is single-handedly transforming the league's fortunes. And yet, according to Rebecca Lobo, who did extensive research watching tape of WNBA rookies for the past 27 seasons, Caitlin Clark is being played differently, defended differently, than any other rookie who's ever stepped onto a WNBA court. This isn't conjecture. It's documented fact from a respected analyst who has studied every rookie class in league history.
You should have had the second jersey WNBA I bought. I did not know that you were so proficient in holding the back of a girl's head while talking shit to her. She defended Caitlin Clark from that flagrant foul, which they didn't call flagrant for some reason last night. And she had her titled up. And then the rest of the Don Imus crew came up and tried to, separate it and whatever. But let me just tell y'all this. Sophie Cunningham, thank you for defending Caitlin Clark. Somebody in the WNBA has to protect the brand, and it's not going to be the EBT members. So thank you for protecting the greatest female basketball player of all time. I was unfamiliar with your work. I've seen the walk-in videos. I've seen all the other stuff. I didn't know you had hands.
The pattern of mistreatment is clear and disturbing. Clark has been poked in the eye, shoved to the ground, hip checked, and subjected to flagrant fouls that would likely result in ejections for any other player. Yet somehow, she's often the one who receives technical fouls for simply reacting to being assaulted. The WNBA's own admission that referees lost control of that Connecticut Sun game is a damning indictment of their officiating standards. Yet, despite this admission, no meaningful systemic changes have been implemented to protect Clark or hold officials accountable. One WNBA coach even anonymously told an ESPN reporter, "We tell our players to be as physical as they can possibly be for 40 minutes because we know for 38 of them, they're pretty much going to get away with it." That quote alone speaks volumes about the league's officiating crisis.
This is a message for the WNBA. Do you realize that what you have in Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-generation talent? She was massively successful in college. And that's transcended into the WNBA, where she's leaps and bounds above pretty much most every player there. You're allowing her to get beaten up on the regular during games, flagrant fouls, people trying to take her eye out. That's happened a couple different times last year and this year. And you're not protecting your asset.
Sophie Cunningham's decision to reportedly pursue legal action comes at a time when the WNBA's integrity is already under scrutiny, with the league recently firing 3 referees following a bribery investigation. When referees are accepting financial incentives to influence game outcomes, it's clear the entire system needs a top-to-bottom overhaul. The fan reaction to Cunningham's stand has been explosive. Petitions demanding referee accountability have gained hundreds of thousands of signatures. Respected sports figures like Kevin Garnett have praised Cunningham's defense of Clark. The message is clear. Fans are no longer content with diplomatic statements and empty promises. They want heads to roll. They want accountability, and they want justice for the player who has single-handedly saved their league from irrelevance.
Right. These girls have been grinding to grow the game of basketball in the WNBA. They've been grinding to grow the sport to the world, the viewerships. They've been grinding for all of this. And then you have this girl that comes along from college and is an instant changed. She's handed pretty much being the face of the league. There's going to be girls that are offended by that. And there's going to be girls that think she's got to earn it and she doesn't deserve this early. She's handled it great. I think she's performed last year. She's performing again this year. I think she's the rightful face of the NBA.
What's particularly damning is how quickly fans rallied around Cunningham's cause. This isn't just about one player anymore. It's about a fan base feeling completely ignored and disrespected by the league. When respected voices in sports media are openly calling for legal action against referees, it's a sign that the situation has reached an absolute breaking point. The WNBA can no longer dismiss these concerns as mere fan overreaction or media sensationalism. Clark is the golden goose, dropping golden eggs every game. And the league, in its baffling incompetence, or perhaps something more insidious, seems intent on strangling that goose to death. There's jealousy, there is hate. Many in the league, it seems, resent the fact that Caitlin Clark is making the league relevant.
Caitlin Clark is the golden goose. Every game she is dropping golden eggs. And they are trying to strangle the golden goose to death. There's jealousy, there is hate. Everyone in the league seems to hate the fact that Caitlin Clark is making the league relevant. If I were advising Caitlin Clark, I would say start your own pro basketball league for women. I don't know why she benefits from the WNBA at all. She could go out, she is the draw for women's basketball, and set up her own league. She might even be able to own the majority of the league. She could probably become a billionaire. Set it up with far fewer teams. You play far fewer games. Heck, they did it with Live Golf. I think the audience would follow Caitlin Clark wherever she goes.
The most concerning development in this entire saga isn't just the fouls or the fights. It's the growing, passionate sentiment among Clark's massive fan base that she would be better off anywhere else. The reality is, Clark's fans have options that didn't exist for WNBA players before her arrival. They've already proven they will follow her anywhere, to different cities, different venues, different television networks. The question isn't whether they'll continue supporting her if she leaves the WNBA. The question is whether the WNBA can possibly survive without the phenomenon they've worked so hard to undermine. The league seems to have forgotten a fundamental truth. They need Caitlin Clark far more than she will ever need them. We are rapidly approaching a tipping point where even Sophie Cunningham's valiant protection might not be enough to keep Caitlin Clark in a league that so clearly and so consistently doesn't deserve her brilliance. The WNBA is sitting on the biggest phenomenon in women's sports history, and their response has been to allow her systematic abuse while punishing those who dare to defend her. It's like watching someone win the lottery and then immediately set the winning ticket on fire. The choice is theirs. Implement transformational change or watch their league crumble back into irrelevance. The clock is ticking.